Hello, welcome to the Tenant Profile Submission instructional video. My name is Kalisha Kedron, and I am an asset manager at the Connecticut Housing Finance Authority. The goal of this video is to provide an overview of why the Tenant Profile Submission and Waiting List Survey are important reporting requirements, along with providing technical instruction on how to access and complete the forms. Per State Statute 8-37BB, CHFA is required to report on the demographics of affordable housing developments and wait list sizes to the Connecticut Legislature each year to demonstrate the effectiveness of state-financed affordable housing programs statewide and the need for additional affordable housing. The Tenant Profile Submission, better known as TPS, and the Waiting List Survey are the means by which CHFA collects this information. The final report is called the Fair Housing Choice in Racial and Economic Integration and can be found on the CHFA website. The TPS and Waiting List Survey is required annually and is due on October 31st. The TPS report includes all demographic data related to the occupants of the development, and the Waiting List Survey is a breakdown of those households on the development's waiting list. The information required in these reports is as of September 30th of the current year. As a reminder, reporting this information is not optional. It is a requirement. Failure to report may result in a status of non-compliance and affect future funding opportunities. If a property fails to submit the required information, the report to the legislature will indicate did not report. In this video, you will find instructions on how to access and download the reports from SharePoint, along with how to complete the TPS and waiting list survey forms. At the end of the video, there will be some frequently asked questions, along with contact information if you need further assistance. CHFA staff will also be hosting live Q&A sessions during designated dates and times, so please make sure the contact information for the person responsible completing these reports is up to date. Please reach out to your asset manager directly if the contact needs to be updated.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jocelyn Cintron, and today we will be going over the process of gaining access to the Tenant Profile Submission, best known as TPS, and waiting list surveys via SharePoint.
I will also be reviewing the latest template so that you have an idea on what the template looks like. Of course, if you have any other questions after watching this informational video, please contact us at tps@chfa.org or take advantage of our other resources that have been emailed.
We will begin by talking about, prior to the TPS being launched, a CHFA multifamily announcement e-blast will be sent out that contains important information such as what dates to keep in mind and other pertinent information such as who to contact for assistance and due dates. It will look something like this. Highlighted areas are the most important as it will tell you what dates to look for and things to keep in mind. So please make sure that you look for this email somewhere around mid-July. Once the SharePoint sites have been launched, you will receive an email either to your inbox or spam folder within the 24 hours on or about the date that they're sent out, and that email will look something like this. So it will say your project name and it will have a link in order for you to be able to access the TPS and waitlist survey templates. It is important to know that you are not allowed to forward this email. If someone else from your team needs access to the SharePoint site, please email us at tps@chfa.org in order for us to send that individual a link access. You will click on the link. This is the point where we get a lot of questions. There are times where you are able to click on the link and go directly into the TPS and waitlist portal. However, there are times where you may encounter this error message. In the event that you encounter this error message, the steps are: you will click here to sign in with a different account to the site. Now, I know there are times where your email address is correct and everything looks right and you're just not sure why it's not allowing you in. Microsoft Security at times needs you to re-sign in and establish that security pattern for them. Therefore, this is why sometimes we just have to go through this process in order to gain access. So you click here. At the time of you clicking there, it's going to sign you out and it's going to look like this. Once you're signed out of accounts, it's going to let you know that you may now close the browser. So go ahead and close that browser. Once you do, go back to your email and go ahead and click on that link again. It's going to look like this. At this point, for me, I have 2 separate email addresses, but for yourself, if you only have one, please do not click on your email address already. You're actually going to select use another account. Once you select use another account, at that point, you're going to type in your email address here, even if it's the same one that already shown on the previous screen. Click next. Go ahead and enter your password. Now, there are times that after you enter your password, it may ask you to verify your identity. If it does, please go ahead and follow those prompts. Then click sign in. Once you do, it's going to look like this.
This is the SharePoint portal that you will be utilizing in order to obtain the latest TPS and waiting list survey workbook. And you will also be uploading it via this method in order to submit the file to CHFA. The top section just speaks about why CHFA collects this information annually. It also speaks about due dates and the latest version that you will be working with. As you can see here, there's various sections. So section 1 just speaks to the technological prereqs that you should be utilizing in order to have the best results possible when engaging with the SharePoint site and the Excel workbook to complete this report. Section 2 is where you can find the latest template version that you are required to utilize in order to submit this information to CHFA. In this section right here, you should find the TPS workbook specific to your property. So we do ask that you please download the workbook, work on it in your computer, and then come back and upload the final version that would be submitted to CHFA. If you click on the TPS workbook here and it opens up on your browser, there might be a chance that the information that you update does not save. So please download the workbook and then you can come back and upload the final version here in order to submit the file to CHFA. In order to download the workbook, you can right click on the workbook and just select download. If right clicking does not work, you can open the menu dialog, then you can select more actions and the download option should pop up. Once you download it, you work on it, all of the information has been updated and you're ready to submit the files back to CHFA, you can come back to the same section, section 2 for reports, and just select the upload function. Once you select the upload function, it will bring you to the screen. In order for you to choose the file that you would like to upload to the portal, go ahead and select the file that is final and has all of the information that CHFA is requiring of you. Select OK, and it should pop up right in the same section and should be all set for you to submit to CHFA. Once you have uploaded the file and no further changes are needed, you can scroll down to section 3. Section 3 is the submission section. So this section is very important because if you don't select this box to submit the file to CHFA, CHFA will not know that the files are ready for review. So please make sure that you scroll down to section 3, the submission section. You check this box, check here to submit file to CHFA. And at that point, SharePoint will lock this portal site and notify CHFA that the files are ready for review. Once you select that checkbox, you will receive a notification email stating that your site has been locked and that no further edits can be made to the portal. So please make sure that prior to you submitting the file to CHFA, that you're happy with the information you're submitting and that no further changes are required. Once the file has been reviewed by the CHFA staff, if there are any further questions, the TPS contact person will be contacted via email in order to gain any clarification on any of the information that has been submitted. Again, if you have any other questions, please email tps@chfa.org while you're working on the report in order for us to better assist you in the process of submitting the tenant profile and waiting list survey reports. We will now be going over the tenant profile and the waiting list survey Excel workbook. An important change to note is that the TPS and the waiting list survey workbooks have been combined into one for the current Excel TPS and waiting list template. Please make sure that you're using the latest version that has been uploaded into your SharePoint portal, as no other versions will be accepted. Once you download the workbook from the SharePoint portal, it will open up, in which you will see 3 different tabs. The first tab is the instructions tab. We ask that you read the entire instructions tab prior to proceeding in order to make sure that you know what is being required of you. The instructions tab provide information on some of the term definitions and also talks about what you're being asked to input into each column. Once you have read the instructions and you have no further questions, you may proceed into selecting the TPS tab. Once you're here, if you have previously submitted TPS files to CHFA, the information will be pre-populated for you. If you have not completed, and this is your first year completing the TPS and waiting list survey, please know that the only thing that will be pre-filled in would be this top section and the unit information, including the number of bedrooms. You will be required to fill in the remainder of the information that we are requiring in this tab. For those of you who have information that has already been pre-populated, please go through it and make sure that all of the information is still true and update any information that must be changed. For example, if you have a unit that was occupied the last time you reported, however, it is now vacant, you can go ahead and correct this to show as vacant and make sure that you delete the remainder of the information that may not be needed. Column E describes if the unit is occupied, vacant, or uninhabitable. Column F talks about if the unit is subsidized, qualified, affordable, market, or non-income producing unit. G, you are required to input a move-in date. Column H, ask for a tenant name or the type of non-income producing unit. So if you have a vacant unit that's non-income producing, you can select if it's the laundry room or the main office or maybe perhaps a security room. Column I is asking for the gross household income for the household. So please make sure if the unit is occupied, regardless if it's a subsidized, qualified, affordable, or market unit, that you have a gross household income inputted. Please enter 0 for 0 income households. The next section talks about household size and the racial composition of the household. So please make sure that you type in the household size, enter the number of adults plus the number of children, and that then you provide a breakdown of the household's racial composition. So for example, if one person in the household identifies as Caucasian, you will enter 1. If you have the 2 other remainder members, if they have declined to report, you can select 2 here. Same thing down here. As you can see here we have a household size of 5. However, we only have 1 entered under Hispanic or Latino. If you scroll to the right, you can see here that there's a data check column in which is giving you an error message saying that the household size should equal the household racial composition. Therefore, that tells you that this 1 is not equivalent to the 5 household members. So if we have the rest of the information, we can just add it. So let's say there are 2 who are identifying as Black or African American, you'll enter 2. And let's say you have another 2 who decline to report, you'll enter 2. As you can see, the household racial composition now equals the number of household members, and our error message has disappeared. So the goal is, once you are all set and completing this TPS, that there are no data errors in this data check column. So please double check that there are no errors. If there is an error, as you can see here, there's a message that's going to pop up letting you know what is going on. Same thing if you're missing the move-in date, it will tell you please enter the move-in date, household size, household income. So please make sure that there are no error messages displaying in the data check column before submitting the file to CHFA. Once you have completed the TPS tab, you can go ahead and move on to the waiting list tab. There have been no new updates to the waiting list tab, so you can select and answer each question accordingly that is specific to your property. Once you have completed this and you have confirmed the TPS information is also accurate, this is the file that you will be saving in your computer and you will be uploading back into the SharePoint site portal. Please note that no other versions will be accepted. Only an Excel workbook and the latest version only will be accepted. All others will be sent back to the site for resubmission.
CHFA would like to thank you for your time and hope the video was helpful. We value your dedication to ensuring the TPS and waiting list survey are completed and your property remain in compliance. Some important reminders. Please contact your asset manager or TPS at chfa.org with any contact updates, questions, or concerns regarding TPS or the waiting list survey. Please visit our website to view the frequently asked questions. You must use current template versions. All other versions will not be accepted.
Submissions are due on October 31st.
And lastly, please be on the lookout for the registration link for our upcoming live Q&A sessions. There will be multiple dates and times available for you to register in order to be able to ask us any questions you may have regarding the TPS and waiting list survey. Once again, thank you for your time.